are you doing? How's life
I'm
going?
I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. It's been a
Yeah.
bit hectic the last while, but yeah, like it's we kind of are living between two places now, so it's been a
Are
bit,
you?
yeah, yeah.
Is
We
this one of these places? Remind me what these two places are. I feel
so
like one of them is something you talked about.
yeah, here is Dublin and the other house is in Cork, so it's our holiday home. Well, I call it a holiday home, but it's not really because it's a bit more than that, like there's lots of holiday homes in West Cork, but most of them are not occupied other th times of the year except the summertime.
Yeah.
So, but it was a dream of mine for a long time, and I wrote about it in the journal, and I didn't even realize it.
Oh, no way.
Actually, yes, I wrote about it in the journal. I was looking through my journals just because I knew we were going to have a chat, and I was looking through, and I just went, "Oh, like back in 2021." Like I'll literally read what it says. Okay, so
Yeah.
it
See, this is
was.
why this is why I wanted to record.
So this was 2021, and it was your dream life. And it said, "Where do you live?" And I said, "In a house with lots of light and a big couch in the living room to lounge and read on." And then, "What is your home life?" And I said, "I've got two offices, a podcast area in my office, a guest bedroom for Emma, who's my sister, a big kitchen and living room." And literally, that room with lots of light is the conservatory in West Cork. I'm not joking. Like, I just had such an aha moment when I saw that. I was like,
That's wild. Oh my goodness. Well, look, back up because now we may as well. We're in. We're into the recording. You because I remembered this dream taking shape like over
Mm,
the times over the years when you've joined the online the big shares and I've definitely
yeah,
heard this dream take shape.
yeah.
You hadn't realized that dream had started in the pages of your
I didn't
Goodbye Hello
realize.
journals until you just look back now.
I literally looked back today and I was like, "Oh my God, I wrote about this like 5 years ago or more."
Can you see though that over the years in the journals you started to take it from dream life 5 years from now to actually let's start taking actions around it? Can you track it through the journals?
I I I don't know. I haven't kind of looked through the journals that much in terms of like going back over them before we
Yeah.
did our chat, but I certainly know that it was always something that was there in the back of my mind, and the journal was a really good place to put all of those things down, to actually give them um to make them legal, legit, because you know how it is. You're always thinking out loud, or you're always thinking in your head, but it's only when you put it down on paper or you say it out loud that it becomes a real thing. But
Yeah.
even more so because I never remember. I don't even know what I did yesterday, but if I wrote it down, I'll go, "Oh yeah, 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 I did that and I did this and whatever. So it really takes it's a really strong reminder of stuff going way back that you kind of went, "Oh my God, I planned this in my head and on paper, and it's like it's slowly coming to fruition."
Yeah.
So yeah, this is something that's been on my mind. Now, I'm quite an impulsive person, more normally. So the way this kind of came to pass then was I just told my partner Andrew that we were going house hunting 2.5 years ago. And he's like going, "What?" And I was like, "Yeah, we're going house hunting in West Cork," because the way I saw it was I just kept feeling sadder and sadder every time I left West Cork. And I was like, I need this to be more in my life. I need this to be more of a thing. So, so the farmhouse was the first house we actually went to see. And
Wow.
it
And
was
that's the one you
just
bought.
and that's the one we bought. Yeah, we had five on the list that day, and every other one I looked at was just comparing it back to the first. So we had made our decision pretty much by the end of the day which one we were going for. So it was meant to be. It was meant to be.
See, as much as I want to hear about how people have used the journals over the years, and we'll get into that, how long you've been using it for, I'm also really loving unpacking how people have brought about these big dreams. So the fact that
Yeah,
you had written it down, you hadn't even remembered you'd written it
I
down in
hadn't
the
even
journals all the
remembered
way
it was.
back then. I
Mm,
I do think that there is a power, and other guests so far on the series have been saying a similar thing. There is a power of simply writing it down, even if you forget you wrote
Totally.
it down.
Yeah.
For me, it's the kind of the witchcraft of it. Like it's there's
Totally.
something of,
Totally. It's magic. It's
yeah,
magic.
it is. And it's
Yeah.
that, you know, I always talk about the very real magic we have as human beings of our ability to dream things up and then turn those dreams into reality until we're living them. And there's
Yeah.
something about the writing it down onto a page, committing it to a page, that is
Yeah.
like the spell, that the seed that is planted that begins that
Yeah.
dream. But I'd love to hear,
Totally.
you know, you say, okay, you're very impulsive, and suddenly you were like, we're off house hunting. And then you found the first house and you're like, we're getting it. But what were the steps? What would you say were the other steps where you went from becoming sadder and sadder? So that's really interesting. It wasn't just the pull of the dream. It was the push of the sadness of not going. That,
yeah, totally.
What would you say are some of the steps you can see that you did to help make this dream come true? Because it's a big old dream.
It is a big old dream. And I mean, you know, I'm very privileged to be in that position because not everybody can do that. And I totally get that. And, you know, I think it was because I felt so at home in that place, in that area. And I could always see myself living somewhere more remote than Dublin, because Dublin is crazy. It's busy and it's not quite London style, but in its own way, like there's lots going on here. And obviously there's family and there's friends and there's gigs and there's, you know, things to do and, you know, all of the things. But down there, it's just a different pace of life. And I think as I get older, I'm more drawn to that sort of slower pace of life and just being in nature. You know, there's a lot of nature down there. And I think for me, it just became something that I had to explore at least, you know, to look into and see if it was for me. And every time I was down there, like we'd be down there at least once a year for a week or more. And I'd always go to the same beaches, the same places, meet the same people. And it was kind of like, oh, I'd love if I could do more of this, you know. And I think sometimes back to the, you know, some of the things that you said in the journal, like what do you want more of and what do you want less of, you know, in your life. And I think for me, that question really resonated over time. I want more of this thing and I want less of this thing. And it was nothing to do with being less in Dublin. It was more about having more of the things that brought me joy and that really resonated with me on almost like a soul level, you know, and really feeling into that and exploring that. And maybe that sounds a bit witchy. I don't know. But
well, I always feel that the witches do ultimately need to go and be in the nature. I feel the call as well. I'm in Lewisham in London, which could not be, you know, less in the woods.
Yes.
I you know, I went for a Samhain sort of thing in Devon where we were doing
the
candlelight in the dark, and then we went swimming in the sea, and then we sat around a fire, and then we went in a sauna that was all, and I was just like, how am I gonna get my life to be more like this? But you know what's really I love about that is that it was those two questions, simple questions. What do you want more of? What do you want less of? That over time, the repetition of those questions each year help to shape the dream or reinforce that this is really what I want, because you kept repeating it, right?
Yeah, because obviously every year we get a new journal and we'd be going through especially the piece at the beginning, you know, where you're looking back, you're reviewing, and you know, what did you want to do more of? What did you not get a chance to do more of? Those kind of, you know, undertones of, you know, places or areas or adventures or exploration that you wanted to do and maybe didn't do as much of as you would have liked to. And I think for me, that really, you know, as you say, over time, almost embedding those feelings and those questions into maybe the unconscious, you know, and really going, you know, almost letting your unconscious figure it out while you're writing the questions and after you're writing the answers, you know. And I think that for me, that repetition, because I mean, I'm looking at this was where it started. I don't know if you remember, Selena.
That's your first. Do you know what? Oh, I don't even have my PDF versions. Goodness knows where they are. So 2015 was your first goodbye, hello.
I think 2013 was my first Goodbye Hello, but I couldn't find that one. So that's the first one that I found that I just printed off the first page to show
10
you.
years ago.
Yeah,
Yeah.
10 years ago. So because obviously I was following you even before you are what you are now, and you worked with Vicky and everything else, you worked with John. So I kind of found you through that. So I mean, I think I've probably been following you about 15 years or more now.
Come
I'm not
on,
stalking,
right.
I promise.
Okay, so you start, and have you got your answers from 2015? Have you got the answers on there as well?
I don't have on that one. I have it somewhere. I did actually look for it,
Yeah.
because I remember writing it in pencil because I was so worried I was going to make a mistake or something. I wanted to be able to rub it out. I do have it somewhere. I just couldn't find it for the interview. I'm really sorry,
Oh,
but
don't worry, I couldn't find mine.
yeah,
I had to
yeah.
put them into proper books because I was like, I am never going to hold on to these unless they sit on
I
my
know.
shelf.
Yeah, and like I have these ones that read.
Oh,
They're the ones I could find. I think I still have some more, but they're the ones I could find today. So, and of course, the one I haven't started yet, which is I
yeah,
really look forward to
exactly.
that.
What made you keen to come and put yourself forward for having this conversation, me talking about the journals and designing your life? What made you think, oh yeah, I'd like to dive into that conversation?
I think it was because I suppose I can see all the progression from way back when, 2015, 2013, whatever. And so much has happened in that time on a personal and professional level. And like we just mentioned about that reinforcement of the questions and asking of the same questions over and over again, and letting that kind of sink in with the answers. And some of the things that I wrote in journals, I would never have got it done in 1 year anyway. And it was all, the kind of shoulda, woulda, couldas. You know, the way when you are in the coaching world, like things change so much. And these new fads come out, and I'm like, oh yeah, I could start this and I could do this, and then. And then it was like, do you know what? Like, this isn't going to fit for you. And even though I kept writing it year after year, after a while, I kind of went, do you know what? This is not for me. This is not the right fit, or this is not something I want to pursue.
Yeah, but
So,
I think that's so important because,
so
I've
important.
said this a lot. Listen, I got a lot of dreams that went into those journals that did not
Totally.
happen, either because, who saw a pandemic coming, but
Well,
also
this is true
because,
too. Yeah,
yeah, we've got that documented in our journals as well, which is wild. But also
absolutely.
sometimes your imagination is one thing, but then we got to check out the reality of it. Like we can
Totally.
only go with the information we've got. It's like, oh, I think I'd love to do that thing, and then you go
Yeah.
for it, and you're like, oh no, mm-mm.
No,
And
no.
or you know what? I've written this down so many times. Either I go for it, or let's just put it to bed and clear space for
Totally.
something
And
else.
not berating yourself or beating yourself up for doing that.
Exactly.
And I think that's also important, that we have to give ourselves grace. We're not going to get everything done that we said we're going to get done. And
Yeah.
I was recently doing the BBC Maestro course with Oliver Burkeman, and he talks about time management. He wrote 4,000 Weeks.
Yeah.
And I love the way he says, in summary, like, you have a finite amount of time, and be very mindful of what you do with that time. And, don't beat yourself up if you can't get everything done. If you can't learn Japanese, or, go to France and live free, or buy the camper van, or whatever it might be, just remember that there's a great freedom in knowing that you have a finite amount of time, and that you
Yeah.
can do as you wish and explore what you wish in that time. But don't berate yourself for not getting everything done, because there's no possible way you could in 80 years get everything in the world done. It's not like completing Netflix.
No, and exactly. And also, if you're like someone like you and me who have, and I'm sure a lot of the people watching or listening to this have
Yeah,
a million different ideas and dreams and desires,
totally.
that list is going to be a hell of a lot longer than the list of things you actually were able to do. And
Yeah,
it's that constant tension. And I really struggle with it. Here are all the things I want to do this week, this month, this year. And
yeah,
here's the list of what I actually can do. And
yeah.
it does drive me nuts, but it's
Yes,
also like, And
Totally.
I'm constantly on that thing of like, I cannot sacrifice my well-being to try and get more things on that list. And the other part of me is like, just a little bit, like, no,
Yeah.
stop it.
Yeah. And I was talking to a friend of mine about this the other night, and we were talking about, like she's a mother of three kids and lots of different things going on, and they're at a very sensitive age and everything else. And she was like, time just it just disappears, but what we came to the realization was that we and not in a selfish way, but we have to put ourselves first, because if we don't put ourselves first and prioritize ourselves, we can't be there for everybody else. We can't be there to do all the things that we want to do and do that to-do list.
Yeah.
Really prioritizing your own health and your own mental well-being all the time as an absolute non-negotiable is crucial. And I think that's the great thing about the journal as well, because it will say things like that. What brings you joy? Where do you find the fun in your life? What's in it for you, basically. And
Yeah.
and again, coming back to that question, what do you want more of? Do you want more fun? What is your year? Like, I remember one of the years, my year was the year of balance. And it was the most chaotic mental year of my life. And I kept coming back to that word going, no, not this time. But this year was my year of fun, and I was determined to have more fun. And I did. Now, it's still a lot of chaos, but I said, no, I'm definitely having more fun. I am, going down to the house in West Cork. I'm going to meet all these lovely people. I'm going to have a party. I've organized a party for the end of the month and bringing a load of people who may not even know each other, but they're all coming to the house and we're all going to have fun. And that's it, because that's my theme for the year.
I feel like you probably find a year of fun easier to achieve than a year of balance. Or am I just projecting myself onto you?
Absolutely. Totally. It was just, I looked back at the very end, I did the review and I just went, well, that was the year that was.
I think you came to one of the big online shares at the end of that year. And I think that was when we were doing like regular check-ins. And we just laughed because it was you and there's a few others where we were like, and it might have been my year of magic. And it was like, it was just a shit show of a year.
Yeah.
It's like, I gotta say, this year my intention did not match up to the reality. But you know what? It was because a whole heap of stuff was threatened. It was still in the pandemic at the time, and life had other plans. So
yeah. And even looking back through the last 5 years, sometimes I think to myself, did we go through that? But we did, as a collective, as a group, going through a collective trauma. And to come out the other side of that, like our generation and in our time, like I do really feel for the younger people in terms of, my niece, for example, was going to college and she had to do her whole master's online. She never got to meet the people she did her course with because it was in 2021, and like Trinity College had just all the colleges had just done everything online. And I feel they missed out a huge amount on that. So for different people at different stages of their lives, like the collective trauma and going through that was massive, and it's not to be underestimated, the effect it had on us.
I agree, and I don't know about you, but perhaps looking at your journals, do you think that your dreams, because I look at my dreams before the pandemic and how much the pandemic just pulled the rug from under them.
Totally.
And the trajectory of my business and my career and where I thought I was going to be. And I think particularly for business owners that this has happened, as a lot of us are just simply not where we thought we were going to be. And largely that's, I think, to do with the pandemic. And so it's like grieving that and then going, okay, and the world has changed and the landscape of online has changed. It's like,
totally, absolutely.
Reinvention,
Yeah. And I think as coaches, we're always to a point evolving and reinventing to, ourselves and as we learn. And I think as coaches, most coaches are always learning something. I'm currently doing 2 courses in coaching, one in AI and one is a master mindset course that I'm trying to finish. And I said I'd have it finished by the end of the year. Let's see what I say in the journal.
What's the AI course you're doing in coaching?
It's it's an AI certification and how to bring coaching ethically into your coaching business.
AI into your coaching business.
Yeah, but to use it as in conjunction with the transformation you're trying to create for your clients.
Nice.
I'll send you on the information. This is the beta test, so she will be running it again, and you can go to every iteration of it, obviously, because the AI technology is going to be forever changing.
Interesting.
You know, so I think you'll find it interesting. It's just it's to help you rather than like the AI is not going to do the work for you, but it can help you depending on the kind of prompts you give it on how to. And the thing that I wanted to really learn about was the ethics of using AI in coaching.
Yeah.
For me is huge.
Yeah.
And I do think that in terms of the online space with coaching, like I think business coaching has a mixed reputation because there are so many of these sort of grifty coaches out there, and they're not being ethical, or they're saying they're ethical and yet they're using these sort of scammy sales tactics all the time.
Yeah.
So it's really about how do you present yourself the best way you can as a coach without, you know, falling foul of these kind of grifty tactics, you know. And yeah, and I do think we have all changed in terms of how we present ourselves, because we have to remember our clients are getting more and more sophisticated too, and they're learning a lot too. So we have to meet them where they're at on that journey as well.
Love it. So let's go back to when you started using the journals. What did your life look like then?
Okay, I had started coaching in 2011. I did a life coaching certificate in 2011, and I was just like, yeah, this is a bit of me. This is where I want to be. But I was working part-time as well. So I was working, I was working full-time and learning about coaching, you know, in my spare time. So I was trying to work out this whole, and this was even before, you know, you were getting all those emails about the laptop lifestyle and the beach in Bali and all that kind of carry on. So it was even before that that I started learning about coaching. And like in Ireland, it wouldn't have been a huge thing. It would have been seen as something very American, you know, how to, you know, help people look, you know, look to the future rather than looking in the past, as we're prone to do here in Ireland. But you know, I was trying to work out, how do I make this work for me? How could I make this a full-time thing? Now it still took years and years, and you know, even especially through COVID and things like that, like it was very up and down.
Yeah.
But I think, you know, being able to use the journals and put things down on paper, of what I wanted things to look like, you know, because I hadn't really heard about life design before that, you know, and you introduced that, and I was like, God, this is really powerful because we get to choose. And I suppose this stuff isn't taught in schools. This stuff isn't taught to you as a teenager when you're at your most, you know, expressive, and the learning that you're doing, and the traditional way we teach. And that's all changed as well now. You know, obviously, like there's so many young people now becoming entrepreneurs that are like half our ages or whatever. You know, you're going, oh my God, these people are having like multi-million-dollar industries here, and you know, companies and stuff. So it was all before that, and being able to write that down for myself as to what I wanted to shape my life like. That was really powerful for me, really powerful to be able to do that. And the journal really helped with that, because it asked questions that I wasn't being asked in any other way. You know, how are you feeling? What are you learning about yourself? What do you want to do more and less of? You know, and being able to, I suppose, daydream. I know you talk a lot about the power of daydreaming. And, you know, as somebody who was always in school daydreaming, and being told that was a bad thing.
Being told not to, exactly. And
you were told
the dreaming is part of our magic.
Yeah, but like that's, you know, again, that's just not taught in schools. You're never taught to kind of sit down and be bored anymore. You know, there's no such thing as being bored because we're stuck to our phones and everything else. But back then, you could be bored and you could go off into this little land of your own, you know, Lindsay land as I call it, and just, you know, think about, God, what I wonder what it would be like to be a full-time coach. I wonder what it would be like, and being curious. And I think that the journal for me was really being able to pique my curiosity and explore. and not feel like I was being judged for it, or, anything like that. We have this thing in Ireland around having notions, rising above your station, this kind of thing. And in Ireland, it's very much, don't be having notions about yourself now. So
You know what? Almost every Irish person I coach, and I coach a lot of them, and I love it, will nearly always refer to this thing about notions.
Yeah, I actually bought a necklace the other day with the word notions on it. I'm not joking. I was just like, that is a bit of me. I'm all over that.
Embrace the notions. Yeah,
I'm totally embracing it. But that's the thing, you're told for years, don't put your hand up if you don't have the right answer. Don't put yourself out there, the tall poppy and all that kind of carry on. And then it's like, no, actually, fuck that. Basically. I'm happy to have notions, because if I don't have notions, I'm never going to evolve. I'm never going to move to the next stage. I'm never going to see what my potential is if I don't write down all these crazy dreams in my journal. If I don't put it on paper and look back at the end of the year and go, okay, I didn't get all of those things done, but I got started on it. I got started on this thing.
Even the fanciful dreams, which may or may not have come true. I mean, you could have considered the dream of having a second home in Cork was a fanciful dream. Well, everyone loves when they go on holiday. We all want to live there, but you actually went and did it. But you could have looked back and gone, well, I mean, yeah, wouldn't we all love that? But you took that dream seriously. And this is what I'm talking about all the time. It's like, it's allowing ourselves to dream. It doesn't mean that every single dream has to be chosen to be turned into reality. But in every dream, the 101 dreams that haven't been turned into reality yet, because they might be, but they all hold information about what it is we most desire, what we want to experience. Even back in the day when I used to work with John, we would talk about unwrapping a dream to find the experience that lies at the heart of it. And that really stayed with me. And it's human beings, I find it fascinating that we are hardwired on one hand to want to grow and evolve. And on the other hand, we're hardwired and programmed largely from a sort of tribal, like being part of the tribe, staying safe, a safety mechanism.
Yeah, totally.
Stay quiet. Don't put your head above the parapet. Don't go having notions above your station. And every culture has this sort of, rigid, stay small, don't sort of stick out, don't seem different message. And it's actually how, it's about breaking free from that so we can grow and evolve. And it's sort of this fascinating sides of us that seem completely opposed to one another. But I guess from that tension comes the growth, because if it was all so easy, we wouldn't have anything to push against. And it's in that pushing against things and breaking free that we discover those inner qualities of strength and perseverance and having the courage to go down a different path. But also what it sounds like is that you, with the journals, you were being encouraged to actually embrace those sides of you that were always there. The dreamer. And I always say this is like, this is stuff we were told in school as we were growing up, stop being such a dreamer. And I was just like, you know what? I'm actually not going to. I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to take those dreams. I'm going to take them seriously. And I'm going to embrace being a dreamer. And then I found out that actually it's a really powerful, practical and smart tool to access if you are a dreamer.
Yeah, absolutely. And I remember you saying that you had an office job at one stage and you were just like, I do not want to be here. This is not my bag at all. And I was always like that. I used to go into this open plan office back in 2017, 2016, and I would just walk in and I was right at the front door. So I knew everybody was behind me in this office, And recently I found a picture of me that I got my friend to take on a lunch break, where I was the only one sitting in the office and I had a big frowny face on me. And I kept that photograph for years because I was like, I am not staying here. This is not me at all. And totally, that really helped me propel myself to the next stage of what I wanted to be, and using the things that were annoying me or irritating me at that time as fuel for pushing forward and and making things happen. And, you know, like nothing happens overnight. I totally get that. But I suppose there are times where those little reminders of, you know, the journey and the things that you do when you know deep down, I'm just not meant to be here. This is
Yeah.
just not me in any shape or form. And as you say, being able to dream and think and imagine, because we are creative, we're such creative people, you know.
Yeah.
So being able to do that and bring things to life through the frustration of this is not working.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's, I think often we need as much push as we do need pull. In fact, I think sometimes we need more push, just a bit of pull, just a bit of dream. Well, often people bring about big changes. They have no idea what they actually want when they embark. They're like, I have no idea what I want, but I know for sure it's not this, me sitting in office with a frowny face.
Yes.
So tell us more about what you do as a coach today.
So what I do as a coach today is it's a mixture of business and mindset coaching. So I had originally started with life coaching and then career coaching, and I wanted to start my own business. So I wanted to learn more about the business world, you know, how it worked.
Mhm.
And through that, I was like, you know, I can help. I really wanted to help female entrepreneurs because of the years of conditioning and patriarchal, societal, whatever you want to call it. You know, that the world of business was never set up for with women in mind, you know, so we have all of that historical stuff to be dealing with as well. And I knew the mindset piece was really important. I knew that it was going to be a big part of whatever I was going to do eventually, like as a whole. So being able to bring the mindset piece in to build that confidence for women who are either starting out in business or are sort of seeing a plateau in their business,
Mm.
and, you know, giving them that sort of oomph and that sort of level of self-belief, and reframing some of their limiting beliefs has been transformative for my own coaching and for my clients.
Amazing. And what would you say over all of those years, not just doing the journal, but in your own practice and all the learning that,
Mm.
you do to help equip you with the coaching and the tools that you learn? What would you say if you were sort of going into a school, say, and teaching kids like this is the art of life design?
Mm.
What would you say the elements of life design are? Like what's the approach or what's helped you along the way in designing a life that really works for you?
I think, you know, again, coming back to the piece around putting yourself first, you know, because I think in a lot of times we listen to our elders and they might have really, you know, strong opinions on what we need to do with our lives. And I get that. And I know you talk a lot about the shitty committee, the beige army, and the people who are trying to keep you safe.
Mm.
But if that's not resonating, and if there is that small voice in the back of your mind saying, this is not me, and I've had that small voice for years, I would say listen to the small voice. Listen to that niggle at the back of your mind where it's just not fitting. It's not sitting right. And either journal on it or explore things, because again, as somebody who used to be a scientist, you know, I was always doing experiments. So experiment, look into the areas that you like. Some of them will just become hobbies, but some of
Right.
them will become something more than that. You know, some of them will become, um, I suppose, a mission for you to move forward with it. And, you know, always tie it back to what your values are. What do you value in life? What resonates with you on a values level? Because you can't do something for the rest of your life or for the next 5 years or for how long without it tying back to some core value that you have, be that integrity, honesty, creativity, whatever that might be. And really look into what your values are first. Because when you're able to tie that back to what you're doing, it makes everything so much easier as well.
Mm. That's something we don't actually have in the journal, is anything about values. Like, maybe we should be getting values in there somehow. Because I live by my values. Like they have been such a guiding force. They have been such an anchor. And I remember identifying my values. And now I've added community into the mix after pretty much 20 years of having the same values. But it was such a profound experience identifying what those values were, literally right at the start of my career, before even becoming a coach, I think. But when I was starting to get into this world of helping people change career and figure out what would really make them come alive. And yeah, they have been such a guiding force to make as a compass to make sure that whatever I'm doing and how I'm living and working, does it have all these ingredients? Does it have these values? Because if it doesn't, then what do you think? How would you describe it when people aren't living by their values? How do you describe the impact on them? Or when you've not been living by your values, what's been the impact of you? I'm picturing you in that office with that frown on your face, like, certain values definitely not present. Well, I think it's something, it's dramatic to say something dies in us, but a light certainly goes out. That's how I see it. You feel something really missing. And when your values are in place, it's like you come alive, it's like,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's like the battery is full, and you can do anything, you can motor down the road or whatever you have to do. And when they don't align or when they're not working for you, it's like really bad fitting clothes. That uncomfortable, I can't quite close these jeans, but then I can't sit down in them because it's just really getting into my gut. And, it's that feeling of just not feeling like yourself.
Yeah.
It's not that there is, as you say, there's something missing, and it's not, no matter what way you try to square it, just something that's not quite there. But again, and I come back to all the time, the things that we're learning in school, these are the things we should be learning.
Yeah.
I mean, history and geography and all that, they're all great, but we have got to be doing something with children and young teenagers around their mindset, around their goals, around, what they value the most, because we will bring a much stronger group of young people out there that are excited about the world, that have a better idea what they want to do. Like, we didn't have anything like that in school. We had a careers counselor, but he was only interested in getting us jobs, There was none of this. Entrepreneurship was definitely not a word I heard in school,
No way.
And I'm probably aging myself saying that, but at least now, kids have so many options now, but it's almost like they have too many options. And that sense of overwhelm for them, I worry about them taking too much on and trying to do too many things. It's about really paring back and simplifying it and just going back to the basics of, who am I? What can I contribute to the world? What can I make happen? And where are my strengths? Because in school, you're always looking at strengths and weaknesses. I think focusing on the strengths, what you're good at, and excelling in those rather than trying to excel at things that you're only mediocre at.
Yeah.
That just brings out mediocre students that are a bit good at, a bit better at everything.
You do not want to be well-rounded. There's going to be so much time spent on getting from not like a weakness to being at mediocre at best. Why? Just again, this is something that has been I've been saying. I think this is learning from Myers-Briggs, doing the Jungian personality types, that it's all about working. It teaches you to work to your strengths, work around your weaknesses. It's just like you're never going to be good at attention to detail. Just it's not I'm just not how I'm built that way. So don't
not even my zone of genius.
Don't even try it. Like find someone else to help you with it, someone to check it, or find tools online or another human being tools to help you with that kind of stuff. But stop trying to ask yourself to get better at something that you are literally, it's not in your
it's
not
just
in your system to be good at.
No. No.
But it's so true. I still don't think that children are being encouraged to check in with themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And back to those simple questions you were saying that were really powerful for you from the journal of what do you want more of? What do you want less of? And then letting kids and adults alike know you have the power to do something about that.
Yeah.
You can make changes. You want less of that? Okay, well, how could you do it? Let's problem solve this. Let's look at what workarounds there could be. How could you ask for help? Like that whole process of questioning.
Yeah.
I still don't think they're encouraging children to ask that in schools. And I don't think we're being encouraged on the whole in the mainstream world to be asking
because
those
there's that
questions.
level of, it's like learned helplessness, we're kind of, oh, what do I do now? And, that sort of not being the victim, but kind of like allowing other people to make choices for you when you actually have the choice. You can choose and you have the power to do that. And I think we give our power away a lot in terms of social media and being distracted by it. And, I always come back to the story where Steve Jobs, creator of the iPhone, never let his children have an iPhone. That's all you need to know. That's all you need to know.
All of them, all of the big tech people.
They wouldn't, because they knew what they were creating was like the ultimate distraction. And I think that's the other thing in the world. We are so distracted by being entertained and just sort of going through the motions, and the whole Netflix, the Apple TV, the Instagram, we're existing, we're not living in the present. We're not
It's
living
the new opium of the masses. Smartphones, social media.
Yeah.
And again, it's about interrupting that to take a step back. And that's what that's what the journals are about, is taking a step back,
reflection,
taking a moment and reflecting and asking yourself questions. Like is no one else coming and saying, oh, you should put this in your thing? There's no one on social media saying, look, answer this question like this. No one else, not your mum, not your partner, not your best friend, not some expert on social media. No one's telling you what to write in your journal. It's between you and you.
Yeah,
then
totally.
You can go and share it, sure, which is a beautiful thing. But once it's been written in the pages.
Yeah. And I think that's the lovely thing about having the community, having those quarterly check-ins, because, you can decide to tell people something, or you can decide not to and keep it to yourself, and there is that choice of putting it out there and seeing what other people are doing or reflecting on, or, certain things that are happening in their lives right now. It's an incredible community of people who realize they have the power of choice, and it's so incredible to see people creating and designing the life the way they want it. And as you say, it could be a total shit show for them right now, but the reality is they are working towards something much better, and something that resonates with them because it reflects back into their values and where they see themselves in a year's time. Or, I used to hate that interview question, where do you see yourself in 5 years' time? Like, I don't even know where I'm going to be tomorrow. I'm sorry. I could be anywhere. We could be in the middle of a pandemic. Who knows? So, there is that whole uncertainty piece, but we've always lived in a world that's uncertain. So we've just got to take that as part of it, and being able to put something concrete on a page and reflect on it later on and go, yeah, I probably gave myself a bit too much work to do there.
Yeah.
I've started the process. I've started the research. I've looked into this. I've spoken to that person, or I've put in my business number with the company registration office, whatever it might be. It's those simple baby steps that give us the courage on the next one.
And finally, were you at the big online share at the start of this year? I feel like you must have been. I feel like you come to.
Probably was, yeah. I think I was, yeah.
Do you enjoy that part? Obviously, there's the filling in the journal is you with yourself and you, which is as it should be. But then coming and sharing your answers, the ones that you wish to, and hearing other people, because we go through the journal and we share answers, to different questions.
Yeah.
I find it so inspiring and uplifting to hear to hear the happiest moments, the challenges that people have had, the intentions people are setting for the year. Like you say, I find it so beautiful to see
Yeah.
people are showing up and designing their lives. And it's not all about going after big dreams. Some of it is like, I really want this year to be my year of calm, or my year of nourishment, or my year of fun or play, or whatever it might
Yeah.
be.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you get out of those sessions of sharing and hearing people's answers?
I I think that the community, the group of women in there are just powerhouses. Like the stuff that they can get done in a year is amazing. And also the support for people who may not have done what they said they wanted to do, or may have had that year of chaos that we talked about
Yeah.
earlier. Um, and the support that they get, don't be hard on yourself. Things happen. Like again, coming back to the whole thing about uncertainty, we don't know what's down the tracks. We don't know what 2026 is going to bring, or anything else beyond that. So, just giving yourself grace that, okay, I need to put this to bed this year that has gone by, and look forward with hope, because we can always have hope, to the year ahead. And knowing that even if you've had a bad year, you have a group of people there that are doing their thing, and will all congregate together and share the good and the bad, because there's always a mix.
There's always a mix. That's what I
Yeah.
find so powerful about it, is that you're
Mm.
always going to have people who've had the most, or not the most amazing year. They will have had ups and downs. Everyone has ups
Yeah.
and downs. And some people have had like a tough one, one
Yeah.
with a huge amount of challenges and
Totally.
loss and disappointments and heartbreak and all the rest of it. And it's just so powerful to recognize that, yes, that is the way of life. Like,
Yeah.
one year you're going to have a great year and I'm going to have a terrible year. Another year you're going to have a terrible year and I'm going to have a great year. And it is
Yeah.
a roller coaster, and it's ebbs and flows,
Yeah.
and we experience it all. And
Yeah.
actually, there's something really powerful when you have had a tough year to reflect back on it. And like you say, and to kind of go, look forward. Okay, it's a new year. It's a fresh start. Bringing that hope back in.
Yeah.
Being
I
like,
think that's
okay,
really important, because, when you do have a tough year, you do really realize at the end of it how resilient you are, and that you have strength that you didn't even know you had, because you had to have it in that moment, or at that decision, or, whatever is going on, be it family or professional situations. And, you hear this thing a lot about, oh, life only throws at you what you can handle. I don't know if I agree with that, because I think a lot of people have had a lot to handle in the last while. But I do think that, in those moments when you need to make decisions, or you need to be there for somebody and be strong for somebody, you can do that. You can be there. You have reserves of strength that you don't even know are there until they're needed. And being in a group like that, where there is so much resilience and strength and joy, because you can't have the joy without the sorrow. You can't have the fun without the bad stuff happening as well. It's just how the world works. But being able to support people through those tough times is it's actually a joy to watch that, and to see people coming together and being supportive. And I think that's what the community brings.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Lindsay. So I am going to ask you not where you want your life to be in 5 years' time, because also that will emerge upon the pages of your journal.
Absolutely.
You'll discover what that 5-year plan is going to look like. But do you have any dreams at the moment that are currently in seed form that you're starting to, bring into reality?
Well, I'm at the moment working on things like my website, my messaging, revamping all of that good stuff. So I'm hoping 2026 will be the year that all gets sorted out, and that I finally get the exam passed for my my master mindset coaching course. I haven't taken it yet, but that's on the cards. So yeah, just always learning, always doing something. I remember years ago I had a tarot card reading, and the first card she pulled was like you are always learning something. And that always stuck with me. I'm like, yes, I'm an eternal student. So as long as I'm learning, I'm happy, and I think that that's the thing. We're ever evolving, ever growing, and especially in the coaching world, we need to be always up leveling for our clients and for the transformations that we're trying to create for them. So, yeah.
Oh my goodness. I'm excited for the people that are going to come your way in 2026. So I would like to know who the people are that you particularly enjoy helping, and how do you help them?
I love helping female entrepreneurs who maybe don't even like saying the word female entrepreneur. They're like, oh, I'm a businesswoman. I did that for years. I struggled with the word entrepreneur.
Me too. I call myself a reluctant entrepreneur.
Absolutely. I'm totally reluctant on that. But for women who are either thinking about it, because I think we reach a stage in our lives, this for women who want to, they say you can have it all. The reality is we as women have to make choices. We have to make choices. Is it going to be going down the road of child free and having the dream career and everything else because there's a balance? Or is it having the family and, building the business a little slower than we want to, because the corporate world just does not work for women in those periods of their lives where where they need the flexibility, and there's so many women out there. There was more female entrepreneurs during the pandemic than there were male, because a lot of women just went, I need more flexibility. I like working from home and having that hybrid kind of lifestyle, that flexibility. And it really brought a lot of women to make those decisions for themselves. So I love working with those women who are like, I'm not putting up with this crap anymore. I'm starting a revolution.
Right. Yeah.
I want those women. I want those women who want to start their own revolution.
The rebels.
The creatives, the ones that have this idea and they just don't know where to start with moving forward on it, and maybe don't feel they have the confidence or the self-belief or the capacity right now. Because one of the things I love working with people on is around time management and capacity, and how do they fit it into an already busy life, because it all comes down to prioritization in the end, and the mindset piece is huge. So female entrepreneurs who are either starting out or who are kind of in that plateau and they're kind of like, I don't know what to do next, they're the girls I love working with.
Oh, amazing. Oh, Lindsay, it's such a joy. We've been in one another's lives for, like you say, about 15 years.
It must be. Yeah. For sure. Yeah.
It's really special. It's really, and it, you know what? And it's such a treat to connect with other women, other people who are also designing their lives and creating their lives and seeking the things that will help them to grow and being open to evolving,
Totally. Yeah.
And who recognize that their sort of daydreamy ways that were once they were told, they needed to sort of tone that down. Actually, it's like, oh no, turn that up and use it.
Absolutely.
Your power.
Yeah. The volume goes up.
Yeah.
Volume to 11. And never mind talking about notions.
I love that. No, I love that. You need to get that. Have you got the notions necklace?
I do. Yeah, I do. I have it. I'm not wearing it right now, but I do have it. I love it. I love it. It was just lots of sort of Irish words like deadly and class. Words that we use kind of like slang. But notions, when I saw it, the minute I saw it, I was like, I am having that.
Full of notions. Full of notions.
Full of notions.
Proudly so.
Proud to be full of notions, because, you just gotta sometimes. And I think you come to the stage where you just don't care anymore.
You know what? I should do a special ad for out in Ireland for the journal. Yes. It's like for people who want to be full of notions.
Absolutely. I think that would go down a storm. And I sent your journal to one of my clients as a present for her, because she's been with me a long time, and I had run a beta test of a journal during COVID, and she's like, I love doing your journal, and I just haven't got around to printing the bloody thing. Well, I need to get on that. That could be a 2027 thing. I think 2026. Let's sort out the website and all that.
Further out, push it further out there. Exactly.
But that's because I'm using this journal and I know the power of it. So, being able to, see the power that a journal can bring you, I know it's going to be powerful. Definitely.
Fantastic. Oh, Lindsay, thank you so much. And I will include all the links to where people can find you in the show notes, so that
thank you. Appreciate that.
Touch and follow. Oh, thank you.
Thanks so much, Sean. Appreciate it.